All right, so we are fortunate enough to join into the series midway, but that does mean we're probably not going to have bets. If mods want to open bets, it is only game 2. I'll leave it to them to decide what they'd like to do. But in the I Am Katowice round of 32, in the top right for map number 2, it is going to be the red Protoss player HuK, who's up 1-0.
In the bottom left, as the blue Zerg, he is PiG. Link, link.
Notorious PiG, man. Now this is kind of funny because there's a lot of jokes going into this about like, oh, these are the two casters playing against each other, they don't play anymore, and blah blah blah, and it's silly banter. But what's kind of funny is, well, PiG has been streaming more than HuK has. HuK has been playing in more tournaments than PiG has. So they've both been very active with StarCraft 2, and it's not like these guys did what we did, where we started casting and stopped playing this dead game. But no, they've both been very active, despite the fact that they did pursue a bit of casting careers. So it's kind of cool to see them play. HuK being up, though, is a little surprising to me. Not that he's a bad player, don't get me wrong, but he's been on the vocal side of balance, I guess we'll say.
Sure, that is true. Protoss is having a tough time, especially with Zerg all-ins early. But I would think that HuK would 3-1 this, I'm going to say, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if he 3-0'd. I don't want to, like, discredit PiG too much, but it wasn't too impressive in our Ting qualifiers. He was only able to participate in the 1, of course, so maybe that was just a bad day for him. And HuK has been beating Scarlet one of the few times, so I know he can beat a couple of Zergs. I just feel better for him, especially if PiG is not going to be the type to go for those early all-ins, and I actually don't pin PiG as the type to do that, so I think he's actually hurting himself by not being open to it.
Yeah, I think the worst thing, and this sounds so dumb and arrogant to say, I think the worst thing a Zerg player can do right now in the state of the game is play macro versus Protoss.
Oh, God.
I really do think you should be using and abusing all-ins at every opportunity.
Yeah.
Real quick shout out, by the way, to our Discord server. Gina and some others link in chat. I guess Mr. Boris Makarov is continuing some of his very generous giveaways over there. So the Discord server is free. Anyone can use it, even non-subs, but we do have sections of it made specifically for the subscribers. And I want to clarify something about Discord, because this was a misconception from my part too, like about a couple months ago before I started using it. It's not just a voiceover thing, it is also for chat. And what's kind of cool is you put GIFs and links and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But it's a good way for people to connect further. That's why we've gone and made it and tried to set it up. Now, we're still learning, and there's a lot of things about it to fix, and but for now, our Discord server is up and running, and we invite any and everyone to come join us on it.
Yeah, join.
Also, the reminder that if you haven't synced your Twitch accounts with your Battle.net accounts, you should get to it, because you'll get a portrait in-game for StarCraft 2 just by watching the stream. Yes, it applies for the ESL mainstream, but it also applies to our Twitch channel as well. And not only that, but you have a chance to win a copy of Legacy of the Void if you don't already have one, courtesy of Blizzard, just by watching the stream, again, by having your Twitch account connected to your Battle.net account.
Yeah. So continuing on the, I guess, the players and play styles, PiG did not go for an all-in last game. It was actually a very long game. It started late, plus it was a long game, so that's why, we went through an entire series while only one game went for these guys, and HuK ended up winning with a maxed out army. So PiG, I mean, I really hope that he throws in 1 or 2 all-ins, because you just should in a best of 5 to really, make your opponent, double guess themselves so they can play greedy. Now it's Dusk Towers, and PiG going kind of the full greed himself with 3 hatch or 4 pool, holding off on the roaches. That's fine too. I just hope that it's not the consistency in a best of 5, all 5 games.
Well, that further solidifies my point of view from earlier, though, where again, like, I don't think you should be trying to play macro versus Protoss when you're Zerg. It's not to say you can't, and there's some players who are so good at the game, they probably do prefer that style, and they can make it work, sure. Just from everything we've seen, and we cast a lot of StarCraft for anyone that doesn't know.
Yes.
Everything we've seen, Protoss versus Zerg, Zerg should go for that early game win.
Yeah. I guess, like, last point, because it sounds kind of like we're ragging on PiG too much, but last point is that PiG, I guess, has always resonated with me as someone who's, like, he's learning the game, he's a really great teacher, he's definitely a great coach, and he does a lot of that on his stream. And as such, I feel like he is the type to be like, well, if I played a macro game and I lost, I should be better at my macro. Where HuK is like, damn, I played a macro game and lost, like, let me 7-gate all in, Like, he just feels like more of a tournament player. But that's why I have confidence in him anyway. But we'll see what PiG can do. He did get away with a very greedy build. He's going for Banelings again, which is what he did last game. those would have dealt nicely with the Adepts had they actually been ready to go. But it looks like the mass amount of Lings and Queens is going to stop HuK from even going in anyway.
It's kind of cool. I actually really like that Banelings have made their way back in the matchup. A big part of this is just because it's not that they're better versus Adepts, which they are, is that force fields are a lot less common with corrosive biles and faster ultralists. Like, you just don't see that massive, like, because it used to be like, what, you do the 2 base immortal LA and you'd have like 11 sentries and 5 immortals, and it would be laughable. But now you can actually break the force fields.
Yeah. Now you get like 10 immortals, and it's even more beautiful.
Yeah, well, less sentries, more immortals, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's when you go mutas and say like, well, you decided to try and go for ground units.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to point out that there has been a really cool usage of mutas for more than just base trades, but we have still been seeing primarily like a lot of base trades when Protoss kind of present that opportunity. But with PiG going down the tech path that he is, I don't think we're going to see that opportunity here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. He did go for a lot of lurkers and hydras, like basically mass hydra lurker, I should just straight up say, with a couple of infestors. He created a very strong composition, but one that HuK was obviously able to deal with because he's up 1-0. I'm not sure how he did, actually. I didn't get to catch all of the game as we were still casting, but he managed to maybe just feed back the infestors probably with High Templars. Oh well.
So someone in chat like surprised us to us casting the same series of the main series as Pili and Mana did already conclude. We played 4 games in the time it took these guys to play 1.
Yep.
It's kind of funny, like not in any good or bad way. It's just funny that that's how timing worked out. It's, as an organizer, I'm sure whoever's in charge of the schedule is just like, damn it. Because I know I would be. You're like, yes, we budgeted an hour and 20 minutes. That's generous, but it'll probably be close. No, the series is over like half an hour flat.
Why are we casting the same thing? Because as opposed to some other streams that we certainly cast, because we've been the B stream, for DreamHack, for instance, the last DreamHack is that these are not just kind of like follow at your own risk, I suppose is the best way to put it, where you could fall behind if you didn't watch us, for instance. This is actually trying to be synced up with the mainstream. Yeah,
so again, just to add some clarity for those who are joining us, the round of 32 is being cast 2 best of 5s at a time, and they won't start another best of 5 before both of those best of 5s are concluded. That way everyone gets to see everything that they want. It's a good way to do it because it ensures that everything is cast no matter what. And if we're going to be honest, guys, there's not enough hours in the day for them to cast 16 best of 5s on one stream.
Yeah, that's certainly true. It's also they're doing both winners interview, which they have not been able to do at all in any other tournaments. Even when they have their own team casting on the B stream, they usually keep the second guy's interview off.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I'm just glad they're putting StarCraft 2 on one of the bigger stages at IEM, because that was another big. If you remember, like there's like the Reddit drama of IEM Katowice and people not knowing about tickets and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the nice thing was doing it this way meant that there's going to be more people in real life getting to see the games, and of course the bigger stage makes everyone feel better about it too.
Yeah. Doing a lot of talking about things that aren't in the game, because this has kind of gotten to that slow point where they both got the 4th bases. Congratulations, it's Dusk Towers.
Yeah.
And the other thing to really talk about is the composition.
Well,
so
I still stand by my statement. I think that PiG has only got a few minutes left to actually have a chance to win this game.
We do, like, when the Protoss army gets to maxed out, it does seem like they win most of the games. But it does come down to positioning for them most of the time. Like, not just running the lurkers, having barrier on the immortals.
I was not aware just how little health the Cocoons had till we watched those Adepts kill them. Half the health of the lurker in Cocoon.
Yeah, wasn't it originally like 3 times the health or something? I remember back in the beta, we watched a lurker Cocoon on a ramp, and we were like, holy shit, that thing's not dying.
Yeah, it actually, that used to have like crazy armor too, which I think they took away from it.
Yeah.
Now the Immortals bust through a base, 2 bases go down, the Adepts make it to the natural and start killing some drones, so I mean, HuK gets an excellent attack for this because, while he does trade out quote-unquote useless / expendable units, he keeps the Archons and the Immortals alive. He's got some Phoenix here to scoop up things out of the ground if given the opportunity. Bailey Splash is going to be really cool to see how that comes into play. Obviously, if it hits the Zealots, great. If it doesn't, the Immortals will still have to trigger their shields either way. A little bit awkward
This
though,
is,
because detection is very limited. In fact, none.
Yeah, well, it's super awkward. Even if you had detection, this is a really nice concave, but that's
Oh.
why HuK had this warp prism. He brought some immortals.
Yeah, I was gonna say this isn't just a warping of zealots. This is actually heavy duty stuff with the 2 immortals coming into play. Charge lots are incredibly good versus zealots and mineral lines. You add in the immortals, it's even better.
Holy
So
snap.
not only does this do a lot of damage, it distracts to save the main army that was trapped and cornered, as PiG has to respond with those hydras.
PiG does get a run by of his own, so he's kind of evening up those worker kills we can see in the game.
Oh, it wasn't a run by. It was a drop, actually.
Oh, right, the drop. Yeah. That actually came into effect here. Now, PiG is still taking more damage. I mean, that was a ton of warp-ins from HuK. And the Immortals, they tear down that lair.
It takes out another attempt at the 4th base, but the worst part was HuK traded out a lot of zealots minerals for hydras gas. Lings traded out for pylons and probes, so minerals for minerals. So even just like the raw basic like deconstructing of what value is, that goes better for HuK.
Yeah. Of course, he's still Protoss, so he's still going to have the harder time getting up to max, even if he does take the better trade, which he does, just reflected in resources lost. So he needs a couple of minutes here, probably just 1 or 2. PiG does have to remake his spawning pool, because those Ling Floods are going to be what saved your butt a couple of times, because surrounds on the Immortals and whatnot. It's just a... You know, he also needs it for a lair. He would love to be up to Hive right now, and an infestation pits, in fact, too. Which he is. I think that's the biggest problem, is that he is supposed to be on infestors right now, and instead, he is kind of forced to go for mutas, which I think he would have preferred being open to choices. Now he's just, that's the only choice he has.
I don't
to
think
advance his tech, differentiated.
I don't think the mutas are a good choice. Not just because like it's desperation, but there's already tons of Archons, there's a lot of Phoenix, and even the Immortals. Okay, you could argue that they'll at least kill the Immortals, but the Immortals are all going to have that barrier. They're going to be... There's a ton of them. I mean, this looks silly seeing 15 Immortals walk around the map.
Yes, it does. PiG is remaking hatcheries, however, he's always had a very consistent mineral bank, so it's never been a problem, but he's not maxed out. He really should be maxing out on something. But he went for those mutas as maybe like a fake. He only went for so many. Didn't work out. Going back on a Hydra Lurker. He's just starting to get countered by the composition and numbers at this point, too, of HuK.
Yeah, I mean, it's only going to take 4 shots to kill a Lurker from these Immortals. And there's so many of these Immortals, they don't even have to get good hits, to be completely honest. Parapel gets a shot out for the 3-month resub. Thank you very much. I like that he's got Oracles mixed in. Now, there's another Warp Prism warping in, so Zealot's going to be a continued problem behind this. But I like that he's not just relying on the Observers. That Revelation tags are going to be way better in this situation.
Oh, just going to push in here. He has a nice concave. Gets the top of the Lurkers immediately.
They get demolished. It's not even a fair fight. Archon soak the initial hits. The Immortals bring the damage. There's so many Zealots warped in over here. Holy shit. PiG is in a lot of trouble and most likely going to die. He does get some mutas around the map, and he's killing probes. Okay, sure. But if it comes down to a base trade, it's 4 mutas versus 15 Immortals, and I think we all know how that goes. This Hydra's coming up, but the funny thing is this many Hydras aren't even going to be that great. The Zealots can get us around. Yep, as soon as they spawn, charges in. What bullies. GG. All right. So